how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah said, Lord, who had believed our report? So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily, their song went into all the earth, and the words unto the ends of the world. But I say, did not Israel know? First Moses said, I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by a foolish nation I will anger you. But Isaiah is very bold, and said, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. But to Israel he said, all day long I have stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. So Paul takes a moment to urge the proclaiming of this gospel message. If we take verse 14 in reverse order, we can see the logical flow of Paul's thoughts process. Without the preaching of the gospel, people will not hear the good news. If they do not hear the good news, how can they believe in him? If they do not believe in him, then they cannot call on him. It is useful to observe that calling on the name of the Lord and believing are not the same action. Notice this is a sequence of events that occur. Teaching leads to hearing, which leads to believing, which leads to calling on the name of the Lord. And we can discuss this a little further. Verse 15 talks on one more thought. There will not be the proclamation of the gospel unless people are sent into the world. In the book of Isaiah chapter 52 and verse number 7, Isaiah chapter 52 and verse number 7. So what I want you to understand is that if you look at the sequence of what he says, right? Without the preaching of the gospel, people will not hear the good news. If they do not hear the good news, then how could they believe in him? If they do not believe in him, then they cannot call on him. And then, of course, they will not be able to do all that if nobody is sent into the world to be able to spread this gospel message. So in the book of Isaiah 52 and verse number 7, Isaiah 52 and verse number 7, it says, how beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace, that bringeth good tidings of good, that publisheth salvation, that saith unto Zion, thy God reigneth. And that's the quote that he quotes from. Isaiah 52 and 7 is quoted as the feet underscore the sending and going of those proclaiming the gospel message. This prophecy is now being fulfilled as God's messengers are sent out and the good news is being preached. Verse 16 reveals the direction Paul is going. If we go back to the text again in Romans chapter number 10, he says, but they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah said, Lord, who had believed our report? So even though Israel has heard, they have not believed. Paul's proof is a quote taken from the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, and verse number 1. Isaiah, chapter number 53, and verse number 1. And that's the same thing that he quoted there in verse number 16. He says, who had believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? Right? That's Isaiah chapter number 53 and verse number 1. So Paul's proof in Isaiah 53 and verse number 1, which is the early part of the suffering servant prophecy. Who has believed, he says, the prophet's message? Not Israel. Isaiah prophesied about the rejection of the salvation message through the suffering servant Isaiah. This has been Paul's point in Romans 9 and Romans chapter 10. Jews have not believed. But the context of Isaiah is also critical, because Isaiah teaches that the Gentiles will see and understand. In Isaiah 52, in verse number 15, Isaiah chapter number 52, and verse number 15. Isaiah 52, and verse number 15. He says, so shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told, them shall they see. And that which they had not heard, shall they consider. So therefore, faith depends upon hearing the gospel message of Christ, understanding it, and also accepting it. Most Jews had not believed. And that's the problem. They heard the message, but they rejected the message. They rejected the messenger. If we go back to the text in Romans chapter number 10 again,